Hi, everyone. I'm Allison Ramsey with the Empire Life podcast, and we are Empire Life, where we talk to founders from all around the world on a lot of their challenges in being a founder and what it's like to have their online empires. And we also help entrepreneurs to launch their personal online empires. And today we are with Lynnsey. She's a certified hypnotherapist, and she also does past life regressions. And I'll hand it over to her to talk a little bit more about herself.
Hi, Allison. Thank you for having me today. I'm very, very excited to talk about this. As you know, I could do it all day. But yeah, I am a hypnotherapist who has kind of started focusing on female entrepreneurs who want to move through those success blocks to kind of, I say, align their minds for success and abundance. And we can get more into like how not impossible that is the more we talk. But I do sometimes use past life regression. It's one of my biggest passions to uncover things that could be holding them back from past karmic scripts, I guess is the best way to say that, and maybe interfering with their current progress.
Yeah, I love that. So can you go into a little bit more detail on how the hypnotherapy and the past life regression really benefit and help your clients, and kind of like the process of that and why it benefits them?
Okay, so which one do you want me to talk about first?
The benefits.
Of past life regression, or just of like the other kind of hypnotherapy I do?
Both of them.
Holy crap.
Either one first.
Okay. All right. So, well, okay. So people will come to me knowing they want to do a past life regression pretty much before I have to ask if they believe in it. So I'm not going to like just put it on somebody if I don't know their belief system, because we know like there are people that don't get with that, and that's totally fine. There are a million ways to improve yourself with hypnotherapy, and that's just one. But normally I will, and we talked about a little bit about this before the call, but I'll help my clients recognize that everything that's going on in their mind and body, whether good or bad, whether they notice it or not, is for a reason, and they need to start listening to what their mind is trying to tell them, and there's a reason they are where they are. And I just help them see the patterns that maybe they didn't recognize before. The subconscious is 90% of who you are. 90%, let that sink in for 1 second. 90% of who you are is in the subconscious. That is your automatic behaviors, that is your language, that is your emotions. The fact that I'm gesturing with my hands right now is all very subconscious. Driving a car, riding a bike, these are all things that happen without you necessarily having to relearn every single time. You don't have to relearn these things. That's where they live. Also are the patterns of maybe self-sabotage or procrastination or perfectionism, or these hamsters on a wheel that just kind of keep you going around in circles when you're like, why can't I just break out of this? Tend to be in the subconscious. So hypnotherapy is a great way to get in touch with not only what those patterns are, but releasing and letting go of them to make room for what you actually want. Because yes, we do have that power to actually put and retrain our subconscious minds and prepare it for the success that lives only now in the conscious mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense, Lynnsey. Thank you. And
now I can, if you want, I can explain a little more about the past life regression now that we got that out of the way.
Yeah, perfect.
So that's generally what the client is looking for, is a way to recognize those subconscious patterns. However, there are the clients out there who just maybe are curious about their past lives, or that think that part of their struggle in this life is maybe stemming from a past life. And I'm more than happy to do that, because it's one of the biggest reasons I got into hypnotherapy. It's just like a morbid fascination with like past lives and life between lives and spiritual regression and progression. That's another one, future life progression. Certified in all of that. So it's really fun to be able to take the client, or have them take me rather, on a ride and on an adventure of like where they may have lived in a past life. And they can choose to move through the death scene if they'd like, but most often they would rather skip it just to kind of see what the lessons were learned, where the struggles were. It's always fun to find out people in their current life that were in one of their past lives as playing a different role. So yeah, it's a really fun way to just satisfy a curiosity that the client may have, or sometimes maybe they have a phobia that they don't know where it came from. Maybe they have some kind of karmic script that's still running in the background in their current life that they can't seem to get over. Maybe they have a chronic pain that could be from a wound in a past life. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's a million reasons to seek a past life regression, but I'm happy to do it every single time. It's very fun for me, and it's very profound and spiritual for the client as well.
That's amazing, Lynnsey. Yeah. So how are those, as you were talking, are they somewhat related? Like when, let's say, with them being tied to each other, the hypnotherapy and past lives, does the subconscious hold on to those past scripts? Do they ever hold on to those scripts and they're running because that was something that was learned before?
It can, yeah. Like when I mentioned how some people may have a fear that they don't know where it came from. Maybe, okay, so I'll give you a for instance. I'm not gonna name a name because of confidentiality, but I have had a client before that just was terrified of water inexplicably. Never had any incidents, never was had a traumatic experience that he knew of, but once in hypnosis, he was very willing to try past life and just see if he could get to the bottom of whatever was going on. And it turns out that yes, he did have a water death. And so and this is I'm glad you bring this up, because just by him recognizing where it came from, he was able to move past it. Not even conscious, like not even willing or knowing he was doing this, but the second he came out of that experience and was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, felt so real to him, because I'll get to this in a second, but the subconscious doesn't know fact from fiction. Whether it's fact, whether it's fiction, I'm not going to say. I believe it's true. I, of course, believe in reincarnation. However, I don't need you to believe in it. I just need you to see results. And if this is how you're going to see results, does it matter, if it's fake or real? Of course, I believe it's real. But anyway, so the subconscious doesn't know fact from fiction. It only knows what it experiences and what you tell it. So the fact that he was going into hypnosis literally in the subconscious mind, experiencing this other life, he was able to let go of that fear, and has to this day, I believe, last time I checked in with him was about a few months ago, but he's still very, very much happy in water. Like, he lives by the beach, and he never ever had stepped foot in the beach ever because he was terrified, and now he loves it. He can't get enough of it, which, I mean, at the end of the day, that's all you want. So whether it's fear of water, whether it's poverty, there were numerous in history, numerous deaths because people just couldn't afford food. You know what I mean? Like, that definitely can have an effect on your life now. And if you have this certain idea subconsciously of what money is or what success is based on what you learned from your parents or a past life, I mean, there are many different ways to find out where these patterns are coming from. Past life is just one of them, and there are many ways to release those patterns so that, like I said, you can make room for what you would rather have in your life, or what you would rather have your subconscious program for, whether it's baths or stacks of cash. I don't know.
I want both. Yeah, both.
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good.
A nice bath full of cash.
Yeah.
No right candles, because we don't want it to burn away.
Yeah, right next to each other. I want
exactly.
One with the bubbles and one with
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I love how you said, when we were talking also off camera, and we've had a lot of conversations off camera, and you had an amazing online summit recently that I was involved in, and I'm so grateful for our connection and friendship. So, I loved how you said if you can learn it, if your subconscious was capable to learn it. Because for me, that breaks it down with, okay, I learned a lot of these 90%, and I'll hand it over to you to describe your description a little bit more on the subconscious, which really, really helps. Though if you can learn it, then you can unlearn it. Can you go a little bit more into that?
Yeah, so I hope I can put it as succinctly as I did the last time we spoke. But basically, yes, when we're born, infants only have two fears, and that is the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. That's it. Some call it the lizard brain, the primitive mind, the monkey brain, whatever. These are the biological instincts that we have when we're born. So everything else that you're afraid of, everything else that's in your subconscious has been learned since that birth. Okay. So as you said, everything that's learned can be unlearned. So when you have a thought, like I think, what did I use? Procrastination. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. We'll stick with that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
When you have a thought like, I really need to stop procrastinating and just start marketing, or just start getting my business off the ground and doing all getting my website up and building my email list, all these things, I'm going to do it. So this thought checks in with, well, I didn't explain how hypnosis really works or how the mind is formed. You want me to go into that a little bit?
Sure, if you would like
to. So let me backtrack a little bit. So primitive mind, fear of loud noises, fear of falling, that's all you're born with. When you turn around age 8 or age 9 is when you start to get your critical filter, which is kind of the barrier between the conscious 10% of your mind and the subconscious 90%. And the conscious 10% is our logic, our reasoning, our willpower, our decision-making skills, and our rational thinking. 10%, okay? Everything in that conscious mind. So up until age 8, our minds are completely open. We accept everything as true because we frankly have no reason not to accept everything as true. But when we get that critical filter, we decide, maybe that's not true. Maybe I don't want to do that, whatever the reason might be, because you have that logic, you have that critical thinking. So anything that's kind of been formed in the subconscious up till age 8 lives there now. Whether it's, I love chocolate cake, but I don't like broccoli, or I love when my mom brings me presents, I don't like when I'm in trouble. All of those are what we call knowns. So you have this script. Even when you're a young kid, you have this script, and whatever is in there is kind of who you base yourself off of, for lack of a better word. So when you have a thought, let's go back to the procrastination. So it checks in with the critical filter, who then checks in with the subconscious mind. And if that conscious goal, idea, thought, whatever it is, doesn't vibe with what's in your subconscious, like, what did I say last time? If you get your business off the ground and you stop procrastinating, you'll be very visible. You may get a full client load. What happens then? Okay, well, people will expect a lot from me. I might let people down. Or what if I fail? What if this is all for nothing and it all goes away tomorrow? And the subconscious is like, no, it's too risky. We don't know what that looks like if you do this, because this is how we've been doing it for so long. This is safe. We're just going to keep doing that. And it kicks your thought right back out into the conscious mind, where it will stay until you decide to change it in the subconscious. So what I do with hypnosis, with my superhero, what I'm able to do with hypnosis is help you take that thought that you have, and we tip the bouncer $20, the critical mind being the bouncer of a club. We tip it $20, we get into the subconscious mind, and we are then allowed and able to rewire some of those neural pathways that no longer work for you and no longer serve you, and release those patterns that just frankly are outdated, and make room for those things that you actually want to do. I hope that makes sense.
That's perfect. Yeah, I love it. I'm ready to do it right now. Can we do a hypnotherapy right after the call?
Yes, we could.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not like I've been asking people what their first impressions of hypnosis are, because it's important to me to know what the first impressions are. I always say half of my job is actually doing the therapy with my clients and helping them get results, but the other half is teaching people what it actually is, because there are so many myths and misconceptions, and shadow mystery surrounding it that I just want to like chuck that out. And I know it's disappointing to know that it's not magic, but it really isn't magic. It's a technique. It's a tool that every human being has already. I mean, we go into hypnosis every single day, whether, you know, I know people have heard of that highway hypnosis where you end up home and you don't remember driving, or you miss your exit on the freeway and you're like, where was I missed my exit. Like, why wasn't I paying attention? Those kinds of things. Reading a really good book and like everything else kind of goes away around you. That's a form of hypnosis. Watching a movie where you cry or get scared, that's hypnosis. I mean, again, the subconscious doesn't know if it's really happening to you or not. It's just reacting because you're so immersed in what's going on. And falling asleep, believe it or not, is a form of hypnosis. You have to get to a level of, you know, that dreamy, floaty feeling right before you wake up or right before you fall asleep where you're kind of here, but you're not here. That is exactly how hypnosis feels for most people, is that dreamy, floaty space. It's a really nice feeling.
That is a really nice feeling.
Yeah. So it's very simple. When I learned what it actually was and somebody broke it down for me in that way, I was like, oh, okay. So what can I do with this? Let's see, you know, and then the possibilities are really endless. I told you before the call, unless you want to grow wings and fly away or manifest a unicorn into your life, it could be a stuffed animal. But anything else is pretty possible for you to do because all it is adjusting your mind to align energetically with what it is that you want. That's really it, guys. Like, that's it.
That is incredible. And you mentioned the vibration as well, like having your vibration in alignment. And I wanted to go more into also the tips that you were giving to me and to the tribe of when something really uncomfortable comes up, instead of avoiding that situation or not going into it. Maybe we all have our different coping mechanisms. Maybe it's liquid coping with some alcohol or drugs, or it's, I'm just going to dismiss this completely. I'm not going to think about it now. I'm strong. I'm safe. And you try to convince yourself, like, what is a better way, that the way that you were talking about, to even 5 minutes to take to check in?
Yeah. So first of all, I know that you mentioned the self-medication part of it. And I want to just say one thing about that. So we have all sorts of ways to avoid, because there's no other word for it. You're avoiding it. You're not dealing with it. There are many ways to do that, whether it's just shifting your thought to something else, whether it's, as you said, medicating yourself with substances. But the fact is, anything you're going through, anything that's blocking you, any stall in your progress starts and ends in the mind. If there's a change that's going to happen, it has to happen in the subconscious mind. The subconscious is the boss, you guys. There's no two ways about it. It's 90% of your mind, and you can have all the willpower in the world, but it's still 10% going up against 90. So there are a lot of different ways to get your mind aligned with what you want. There are many different ways to get the subconscious and the conscious working together. I love hypnosis because it is faster than a lot of the modalities. It is super effective. And I was telling you before, I've never, ever had a client that was a lost cause, ever. Ever, really. I'm trying to think of one, and I haven't. I've never ever seen a client where I was like, oh yeah, hypnosis is not going to work for you, because it doesn't happen. So the thing I was mentioning before. So when we understand that anything we're going through, there's a reason for it and there's a solution for it, everything becomes so much more simple. Not in action. Of course, you're going to have to work for it, but the concept is super simple. So when you're feeling low, or when you're nervous or scared, or you're depressed and you're not motivated, or whatever those feelings are, it's just as easy as stopping, checking in with yourself, that soul being that we all have, guys. Checking in with yourself and saying, okay, this is what I'm feeling. I acknowledge this feeling. What is the reason for this feeling, and what do I need to do to move past it? Nothing's ever going to get changed unless you change it, right? So that's just all about facing, acknowledging, and doing your best not to judge yourself. because that's the biggest trap we fall into, is that self-judgment of like, why can't I be stronger? Why can't I not do this? Why everyone else is doing this? I'm not doing this. That's the worst thing to do, because everyone has their own path, and you're allowed to take your own path. Honor your path. It's going to be the thing that you look back on and say, I'm so glad this happened the way that it did. You know what I mean? We've all had those moments where we look back and we're like, thank God that this worked out this way and not that way. Right? So
yes, for sure.
And there are so many more situations like that that are in your future. Checking in with yourself, asking those questions. Why do I feel this way? What do I need to do to move past it? Easy.
And you mentioned too, what are my options right now?
Yeah. So what do I need to do to move past it? What are my options? I could wallow, but that's not going to do anything. Start looking for solutions. I was telling you before, I love to give myself time limits. If I feel really crappy, I'm like, okay, I got 10 minutes, maybe even 20. Okay. Sometimes it's a 20-minute day where I just allow myself to feel really shitty. And then I'm like, okay, 20 minutes or 15 minutes, done. Now what do I do? Let's work on a solution. Because there's always, like I said before, there's always a reason why you feel this way. Your subconscious is trying to tell you something. And at the end of the day, the subconscious's only reason for existing is to protect you and to keep you safe. So if anything that you want in the future for yourself is unknown, maybe you haven't done it before, maybe it's a little scary, because what does success look like? What does failure look like? The subconscious will always see an unknown as a danger. So if you're recognizing that that's happening, there's a way to fix it. There always is a way to fix it. And that's what I want to really drive home.
And I love that, to really drive home too, what you said, things are happening to protect me. Always coming back to that. I am protected.
Yeah.
And this is happening to protect me. One
of my favorite affirmations to use for everything, usually I give this to my clients who want to increase their income but are having those money blocks, those success blocks. One of my favorite affirmations, I tell them to write it right before bed. And you guys can all do this too, because right before bed is when you're starting to get into that dreamy, floaty space. I say within 30 minutes before bedtime is the best time to do this, where you're very highly suggestible. And by the way, the person you're the most suggestible to is always yourself, always. So writing it down, the subconscious is directly tied to your handwriting. There's another fun fact for you.
Cool.
So anyway, right before bed, I would highly encourage you to write down, it is safe for me to blank. And usually for my clients, it is safe for me to attract wealth. It is safe for me to have a certain amount of dollars per month or per year. It is safe for me to have abundance, all these things. It's safe. And it's not going to be believed the first day, the second day. Usually it takes about 21 days for a habit to be formed. So give yourself the due time that it takes. But, and I always say too, resistance means it's working.
Oh.
Resistance, if you ever feel like, I started a gratitude journal right before bed, because gratitude is the space to live in. If you want anything in life, anything, you need to be grateful for what you have now. Very cliche, very true. So I started a gratitude journal about a month and a half ago. I've had them on and off, but there's that resistance. So on the nights where I'm like, I'm just so tired, I don't feel like listing out everything I'm grateful for, I know in my head, like, ooh, that means it's about to work. Because the subconscious, again, that's how it's manifesting its resistance to this unknown of whatever it is you're trying to attract, right? So it's going to manifest itself in that lethargy, in that procrastination, or that, self-sabotage thing of like, I know I should be doing this, but I'm not doing this. So whenever you recognize that feeling, it means you're on the right track, and you just got to do it anyway. Just do it anyway. We're all grown-ups.
Wow.
We're all grown-ups. We know that. Come on, just do it anyway. Yeah. And I have to police myself. I mean, I'm definitely not exempt. I'd be like, last night I did it anyway, and I felt so much better. Now that, after doing it. So look at that resistance as like, I almost have you. It's almost here. This is, if I stop now, that's it. I got to start over. But if you keep going, you're that much closer, and your progress won't be lost.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So juicy. So what are some of your gold nuggets before we hop off that you would like to share with the tribe?
I mean, I think that was it. I think listening to yourself, for God's sakes. I mean, I can't say that enough because it's so easy not to, isn't it? It's so easy to just assume that things happen. Like, oh, it just happened. I don't know. There's always a reason. There's always a message. What is it trying to say? You have all the answers. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And like, just understand that your soul, your spirit, your higher wisdom, your higher mind is always trying to protect you and always trying to communicate with you. You just have to know how to listen. So I hope that helps people understand, how to listen when you're feeling these ways. Check in with yourself, writing down those affirmations right before bed. 90% of your mind is running your life. So what are you going to do about it?
I love it. Thank you so much, Lynnsey.
Oh, thank you. It's been so much fun. I could talk about this all day, but I think I need my third cup of coffee because I'm like so tired. I'm about to go into hypnosis myself. Whew.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so fun,
maybe going to get one cup of coffee. I haven't even had mine yet today.
Yeah, you had a green smoothie. I'm very jealous. I really feel like I need to go get a green smoothie now.
Yeah, and how can people find you if they wanted to book a session with you?
So I am giving you a link. Am I doing that?
Sure. You a link? Yeah, you can give me a link.
So I'll give you a link for my I have a complimentary 20-minute discovery call to talk about what's holding you back. Get in touch with. It's not going to be a hypnosis session, but I'm really, really good at helping people figure out like what their blocks are that make sense to them and what the next steps would be. I also have a YouTube channel. If you just search for Lynnsey Robinson Hypnotherapy, you should find it. And I have a bunch of free like hypnosis on there. A bunch of videos about like shedding more light on hypnosis and how awesome it is.
That's perfect.
But yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Lynnsey.
You're welcome. Take care. Thanks a lot.